Hey, what is going on, guys? So, as you guys know, I have not been trading a lot these past couple weeks with all of this tariff news and inflation data. I didn't really want to be risking a lot of money, but I have also been working on a little project on the side, which I kind of want to show you guys today. So, I've announced this a few times that I was working on this, but I want to show you guys a little bit so you can kind of see what we are working on and what you can expect hopefully really soon. Also, if you guys want to test it out later after you watch the video, just send me a message and it'll be free to use for anyone. So, this is going to be an app or a website that will help you navigate the market. So usually we come into the markets and we don't know, is it going to be a day where I want to be risking a lot of money? Should I be risking less money? Should I be expecting big moves? Should I be expecting smaller moves? And this app is kind of going to guide you through all of that. So I put what I believe are some of the biggest movers in the markets, which are when we have days where we have big gap days. Sometimes we have trends in the market. So it's going to show you how to trade those trends. Sometimes we have economic data, which can cause a lot of huge moves in the markets. And it's going to show you how to navigate those days. And then VIX Navigator. So if we don't have any of these, then we are usually looking at the VIX Navigator. And this is our inflation navigator, which kind of tells us kind of how traders are looking at the markets and how you should approach it as well. I think it'll be easier if I show you guys an example than to tell you guys. So if we look at the stock market for today, for example, let's take the S&P 500. So we can see the stock market is up 1.2%. So this is the Qs. And today we have a couple things. So we have both a trend day, so we can see this is a bullish trend, but we also had economic data that came out today. So we had CPI data that came out that showed that inflation is slowing down. So we had good inflation data. So when I come to my market navigator app, I click on economic data because that is what happened today. And this is, so just say it's 9:30 in the morning and you're getting ready for the trading day. So you click economic data and you have a few things that you can pick from here. So today we had CPI data. So we click on CPI data and it tells us a few options. So we have better than expected, worse than expected. We have extremely good, extremely bad. We have better than expected, but worse than previous, or worse than expected, but better than previous. So for this, the data that came out today was better than expected. CPI data, the expected was 0.3%. It came in at 0.2%, which means inflation is rising at a slower rate than expected. So that is good news, better than expected. And we can see this tells us our game plan for the day. It says that markets are bullish. So then you know from the jump that you should be looking at long trades only. Markets are bullish. The ideal setup is to buy the dip into a demand zone or a reclaim of VWAP. And then it tells you things that you want to avoid. You want to avoid buying the initial spike. So we're going to go through each thing and we're going to look at the markets itself. So let's go through and look at the Qs. So we can see the Qs are obviously running right now, but we can see we had this nice area of demand right here, which is about that 508.74 area. And what this is telling us is that is the area where we need to be buying. So obviously this is in pre-market, but this 510 area, if we spike to this level, we would not be buying this level. We want to wait for that push back to that demand zone. If we go to a 1 minute time frame, we can see that push to that demand zone. So once we touch that demand zone, now you can confidently enter that trade at that demand level. And then if we go back here, we can see avoid buying the initial spike, wait for the pullback. So if we go back to here, if our first candle of the day. If our first candle of the day was a big greenish candle, so just say we had a big greenish candle from the jump right here, we would avoid this candle and we would be looking at a pullback. We want to see that pullback to that demand zone. And this is really nice when we have a pullback to a demand zone that is also accompanied by VWAP as well. So and then it says entry tip, wait for a reclaim of the pre-news level or a confirmation candle. But for me, it would be just that demand zone. We look for those demand levels. Sizing, medium, scale into for confirmation. So if you're usually trading with 5 contracts, maybe trade with 3 contracts, maybe trade with 2 contracts. Don't oversize, don't be overconfident, but also don't be very conservative and only have 1 contract or just totally skip trading. You want to be risking, you want to be trading these days. Maybe, and it's probably better to have a medium size. Your exit strategy, you ride towards recent highs or a gap fill. So if you look at something like this, if you're buying right here, then you maybe want to ride this until you find that previous high. So maybe you want to be riding until here, or you can look at your higher time frames and look for that next level of major resistance. Now, the next thing it tells us is our mindset. So our mindset is let the markets show continuation before sizing in. Don't assume instant euphoria. So you don't just buy right away. You let the markets kind of give you a gauge of what is happening. And if you look here, you can see that now you have a trending day. So now just say you entered the markets right now. So just say you missed all of this big move and you come in right now and you're like, wow, markets are up 1.5%. And I really want to get in on this action. And just, you can't just enter anywhere. Because just say you came in and it was right here and you start entering, what happens? This thing starts to go down and you think to yourself, oh man, this thing is going to go all the way down and I don't want to be part of that. So you don't want to enter at any area. You don't know where to enter. You go back to your navigator and you look for the trend navigator. So we click on trend navigator. What type of trend do we have? We have an uptrend that is happening, and we have a couple ways that we can enter an uptrend. So we can enter through a breakout. Is that what we see? Is there any breakout levels? Do we have any key levels here? We don't have any key levels here. We can have a pullback or a bounce off of VWAP. So this is VWAP right here. So we can either wait for a bounce off of VWAP or a pullback to a level of demand. So just say we click on this one for VWAP. We click there and it says bullish with VWAP acting as the trend guide. So the ideal setup is long bounces off of VWAP with confirmation with our price action. So we stay away from this. You don't want to be entering at random areas. Wait for a nice bounce at something that is bullish, like this bounce off of VWAP and that continuation higher. You know what to avoid. Avoid shorting the first VWAP test or entering during chop. Entry tip, let VWAP act like a magnet. Buy on a reclaim with strong support. Sizing, be cautious until a bounce is confirmed. Exit, ride towards the daily highs, scaling out if price action weakens. Or if you see a close under VWAP, which means you know exactly how to position yourself. Just say you enter here, you're taking a long position, you're looking for the highs again, and if you see a break below that VWAP, that is where you take your loss. So you have a great risk to reward strategy. And then my favorite box is your mindset, because psychology is the most important thing about trading. Don't force VWAP entries, only play them when the bounce aligns with the broader market and your stock's trend. So you're following the trend, and you're not entering too early. You're waiting for that pullback. If you want to enter a breakout, if you see a breakout forming, for example, just say you have a break out at this level, just say this was a level of resistance, then you are waiting for that breakout, that retest, that continuation. But this tells you exactly what you need to do for every single scenario that could happen in the stock market. And if you guys have other scenarios, like maybe, so I have a gap, trend, data, VIX Navigator. If there's other ones that you guys know of, maybe like consolidation days, um, then just shoot me a message. If you guys want to test it out, just shoot me a message. This is still a work in progress. So we're still working on things, making sure all the data and everything is correct. So I have a lot of plans for this. If you guys have any ideas, things you want to share, things you want to be added, make sure you let me know, because I want this to be an app that you can use all the time, that makes your trading a lot easier. So guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.